Welcome to our new segment, Cocktails and Colts, with Tyler and Jordan.
Hello.
What are you drinking today, buddy?
I'm drinking you in, let me tell you. Big old cup of latte. No.
Latte.
Latte. I'm drinking Mad Elf from
Aww.
Trogs. A very delicious Christmas beer with cherries.
Ooh.
And though it looks small and mighty, it is 11%. So
Oh, so you're going to be drunk again.
that was 15 before. This is only 11. And I've eaten today. So
That's good. I had
we're
some
good. We can see my screen.
chimichangas.
Chimichangas.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
What'd you eat?
I was at Olive Garden. I was there. I was family.
Did you have all you could
Breadsticks?
eat?
Yes, I
Breadsticks,
did.
soup
I
and
did.
salad?
I did the soup and salad.
How
Actually,
long
I
do
just
you
did the
have
soup.
them?
A few seconds until
Yeah.
it starts getting uncomfortable.
Did you buy one and take it home?
No, I thought about it, but then I forgot.
They give you cheese with it so you can try it.
It's mind blowing,
I think my closest
boggling.
Olive Garden is an hour and a half away from me.
This one's probably like 45 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's where the stores are. It's where Target is. So
They're supposed to be. Oh no, these aren't my non
what's vibrating?
Is it this? That's what I was gonna ask you about.
Yeah, I hear it's like when you're calling somebody on the ye old telephone and you hear the
Let me switch my mic over and then see.
okay. Oh yeah, it's definitely when you're talking.
Is that better?
It's way better.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep my other mic off and then I can just move it away.
Everyone's
You
gonna be like,
go away.
listen to Tyler's sensual voice.
Ooh, moved my mic so it's not in front of my. I need to make sure that it's high enough that I'm not gonna be like breathing on it when I laugh.
Oh god, yeah, that's fair. You don't want to do that.
Yell at me if I do, because that would drive me insane.
I don't think I would notice though. I think the only person who'll notice is Lee, and Lee will be like,
Lee's the one who
"What?
yells at me when I do
What
it.
in tarnation?" Because that's how I imagine Lee talks in my head. She says tarnation.
Oh, turn it the other way.
Oh yeah, what are you drinking? 1979.
75.
Oh, that's a five. It looked like a nine from far.
I'm drinking some Bubba Gump Shrimp Company cocktail.
Oh, is that a cocktail from them? Oh,
Someone made up.
it looks like eggnog, if I'm honest.
Call it a hangover float. And it's cream soda, rum chata,
Okay,
creamer,
yeah.
and root beer schnapps.
It sounds really good, actually.
And I usually add some fireball, but I did not see it over there.
But Pitbull was unavailable for this episode.
Sorry, I won't be that toasty.
Just schnapps and rum chata
So in
toasty.
case I most likely we're posting this for before the other episode we did. So this is our first episode.
Never done this before. This is so new to me.
I couldn't put the gifts that I opened on the other one out because I was like, oh, we're probably posting this one first.
And then it'll be like, continuity. Who's their continuity person? I want to write them a strongly worded letter. To whom it may
uh,
concern.
Yeah, I was mean and wasn't ready and had to get tires and stuff when we recorded the last episode. So we started recording really late. So Jordan went first, even though I was going to go first. And
Even though he's never done this before.
so we swapped.
Literally out of the frying pan and into the fire, as Meatloaf would say.
It was a good episode, though. So stay
It
tuned
was.
next time.
We hope.
But it's my cult today. So, it's wild.
You know it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. I did it on The Family, which
That's what
there's
it's
a
called.
there's a million cults called The Family.
Right. I
Who'd have
always think of
known?
something like like the mafia.
Yeah, basically.
I think of the family. Hey,
The original
or Vin Diesel.
The original name for this cult, I think I wrote it down somewhere, was the Superior White. Oh God, what was
Oh
it?
no.
It was like a white supremacist name. Then they changed it to the family because of some pushback.
They're getting with the times, they're trying to update their image.
This is one of those rare female-led cults,
Oh,
which is also
okay.
surprising about the name.
Yeah.
And it's an end of times cult.
Do they have a prediction on the end of times?
Not a date, but just that it was coming.
Oh, that it's imminent. Well, I mean, anyone could say that and be right, because
Exactly.
obviously it's,
Relatively, it's going to be soon.
I mean, relatively, it'll be a time.
It's going to be a time in the future
Oh, like we said before, it'll be a Tuesday.
so that you have to go through another Monday first.
So you have to go through a Monday.
Mm-hmm. That's what the world will do you. The one last spit in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the good thing is I can turn and you'll still hear me, unlike my other mic.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of cults with the same name, as I said, and it plays on the emotions and the desires for exactly what it says. People want a family, they want a group, they want something they can fit in with and feel like they're a part of something. A lot of people grow up in very dysfunctional families, and so she
Mm-hmm.
played on that as well as the need to feel accepted and feel like you're doing something and providing some sort of karmic relief for your life.
Interesting.
So oh gosh, where was I at? So yeah, she would see people as numbers that she could try to get into this cult. I don't think she actually cared about anyone. Maybe she did. I don't know.
I
Um,
noticed you're using past tense. Is she no longer in the world of the living?
Recently, yes, but
Oh,
this cult started in the 60s.
okay. So it's been around for a while, and then she's
She
been
was
shoved
old.
off this mortal coil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she died at like 100. Like she was born in
Jesus.
1921 and she died in like 2019.
So she almost made it.
hmm So she was
I'm glad
old.
she I'm glad she didn't though, because being a white supremacist,
I
I
don't know
mean,
if she actually was, though. There was nothing really,
she just started a group for one
yeah. She
for them, I should say.
she wanted, and it wasn't necessarily that she thought white people were better. She thought she was better than everyone else.
Interesting. Okay.
So it wasn't all white people. It's white people related to her.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of the people were just her wallets.
I wonder, does she call them that? Were they her?
I hope so. Her voice really bugged me in the documentaries that I watched.
I can't imagine she had a
they
pleasant voice.
they flat out asked her, "So did you think that you were like a spiritual being?" She's like, "I didn't think that." Like that was her answer.
Oh, that was it. There wasn't like a comma or a semicolon there. Oh,
I didn't think that.
she sounds like a wonderful time.
So the cult was formed in the 1960s by the founder. Her birth name was Evelyn Grace Victoria Edwards.
Evelyn Grace Victoria
I
Edwards.
had to tell Evelyn about that because
I was gonna say
Her name's Evelyn Summer Grace.
the Victoria Edwards is interesting because you have a king and a queen there,
hmm
but
It
flip
is
flop that.
Australia. It's Australia, so it's very.
Oh yeah, yeah, it would be.
And oh, here's a fun fact I didn't write in here. She was obsessed with being British and not Australian, even though she was Australian.
Oh boy.
So she has this like weird British accent, which really bothers me when she's talking. And she taught all her favorite people in this group to speak that way as well.
To drop their Australian accent and to speak as if they were. Oh,
British, yeah.
Oh
Yeah. But
boy.
it's like an exaggerated rich people British. It's not, it's like a caricature of a British person. It's
I wonder. I'd have to listen to her. I wonder if it's received pronunciation, which is technically the King's English now because
hmm
we lost Elizabeth. But um, I wonder if that's what it is because it's very, yeah, it sounds very goofy.
I'm closing all my windows here because it,
I was gonna say it looked like you took a picture.
no, I was closing all my stuff that I had open because it was freezing a little bit. Okay,
Oh, whoops.
I think it was my end. Usually if my Dropbox is open, it'll do that every few.
Oh yeah, you got to close your box.
Gotta close my box. That's how I got so many kids. So she was born December 30th, 1921. And Evelyn had asked me, was she born in the summer? And I was like, well, technically that's the summer for
Down there, yeah.
Australia. And she did die in June 13th, 2019.
So it was
Uh,
wintertime when she died. Good.
yeah. She believed that she had the answers to the perfect belief system combining Western and English and Eastern beliefs together and claimed that she herself was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ.
Oh
Also,
no.
the reincarnation of Jesus, Buddha, and I forget what the other one was, but all together. Like she was
Allah?
bringing, no, something else, some other something. Um,
Jeff.
Jeff, yeah, she was
Just a random
combining them
Jeff.
all, and they were like in her body together as like this beautiful thing. And
Beautiful.
she was obsessed with being beautiful. I will tell you.
Was she beautiful though? Like
At one time,
objectively?
when she was
Okay,
younger,
well,
she
I
was
mean,
very
obviously, yeah.
beautiful. What she did to herself, okay,
Oh,
so
she did things.
she was
Okay.
obsessed with looking young. So she would get a lot of plastic surgery. But back
Oh,
then, facelifts weren't what they are now because now they could make a line around your hairline and then they'll like bring your forehead up and then bring your hairline back down. Back then, they took it from
right.
back here. So her hairline kept going back further and further. Like through the videos that they had,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this hairline that just kept going back.
Like, oh yeah, Evelyn. It's a nice haircut you got there.
No wigs.
That's
You
my
would think she'd
Australian
have
accent.
like a
Never doing it again.
toupee, like in the just the
You know,
front or something.
maybe she thought Jesus was bald too.
I didn't write that in here, so that's some information for you. um, Goodness gracious. Beginning around 1964, Anne, she changed, okay, so she changed her name when she got into all of this for to have like a new start. Her name now, which I feel is not as good, is Anne Hamilton Byrne. Um,
Anne Hamilton Byrne.
yeah,
Byrne or Burn?
Byrne, Byrne.
Okay, I figured she was gonna go the Byrne route.
So she led a religious and philosophical discussion group through yoga. It's not exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
She did this rather late in life then because she was born in what, 21? And
mhm.
she started in 64, so she would have been 43-ish.
Yes.
Okay. 43 years old, and you know what? I'm almost 43. It's time to start a cult.
Yeah. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit to explain a little bit of the beginning before the cult to explain how she gets there. So yeah, to understand what happens, we have to go back to the beginning. Anne's mom died living in a mental institution after being diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. It is possible that Anne did start out trying to help people and thinking she was doing the right thing. It definitely did not stay that way.
Yeah.
Anne's father was not able to keep employment and was not in a place he felt he could parent Anne by himself. So he put Anne in an orphanage. This was pretty common back then when parents felt they couldn't physically take care of their children to put them in an orphanage. Sometimes they go and pick them back up, just have them there for a couple
Yeah.
of years.
And this
But
is the 1930s. This is when you have stories like Annie and whatnot. So yeah.
mhm. and they were a little behind even in Australia from where like America was. So it was more like the earlier 1900s in America in Australia. So they kind of took things from us too of what we did, and then they would use it later. So Canada did that too. So
Well,
uh, sometimes fixing things, sometimes making them worse. Um, so she lived in several orphanages before marrying, I believe at 20. It was unclear if she had her daughter at 20 or if she got married at 20, but it got her out of
mhm.
the system and with her husband. They had a very happy marriage from what we know, and they dreamed of filling a house full of children. She really wanted to adopt kids and she really wanted to have her own children as well. She did end up having a daughter with him, and then they were planning to adopt. And
Okay.
on his way to the orphanage to go pick up the child, he was in a car accident and died. Yeah.
Yikes. Well, that's her
Yeah.
origin story right there.
Yeah. So then when that happened, the orphanage wouldn't allow a single parent to adopt. So she couldn't adopt the child. So that fell through. And then they wouldn't let her adopt any other children because of that. And so she ended up,
That's
yeah, just having her one daughter. And her daughter was actually a young adult when the cult stuff started. So like she went through her life like trying to adopt and trying to do it the right way, and it wasn't working. She then got into yoga to try to make herself feel better and try to give herself some sense of purpose. And then she started teaching yoga classes at a yoga studio.
mm-hmm.
Slowly, her beliefs started getting a little more extreme, and she started doing like these talks during her yoga classes that would didn't make the owners of the yoga studio feel very comfortable.
You gotta wonder, like, where did she pick it up?
So, I mean,
Like,
I
you're like over there going, I have to scroll now.
no, I scrolled down there to talk about that and then I was scrolling back up. So you're fine.
Okay.
Um, so they, yeah, it was very sad, but
Yeah.
she, I think she had some mental health problems.
Oh, for sure.
Because
I
I
mean, you
mean,
figure after that happening.
yeah, and a lot of like her mom being a paranoid schizophrenic, a lot of trauma will induce that if you already have it in
Oh,
your
yeah.
brain.
Right.
It
You hit a certain tipping point, and yeah.
Yeah, so I think she had some of that going on, but it wasn't diagnosed. It's just shocking with the amount of people she surrounded herself with that would be able to diagnose her. um, so, um, how did they find members? How most do? Through yoga classes.
Through yoga.
So she actually brought some of the people that were listening to her over and started her own studio
Mm-hmm.
and would teach the way she wanted to. Um, so she actually got really close in with a psychiatrist that lived near her, and she started a studio on his property. And he would bring a lot of his colleagues, so lawyers, doctors, a lot of the high up people in the area to the yoga classes, and then they would refer their patients to the classes as well.
I just
So
realized I can Google her. I need to see what she looks like.
okay, look up what she used to look like and then what she looked like later.
Oh, she was very
Yeah,
attractive.
she
And
was.
then, like you said, yeah, that forehead's going back like a garage door. Whoa. And then it looks like she started wearing wigs at some point. She must have. I mean, once she gets to like this age, she looks like she started wearing wigs.
Yeah, yeah.
The There you go.
Those lips too.
With that guy from the '70s show.
Oh my
Oh
gosh,
no, that's not him.
that guy was in one of the documentaries.
It looks like Ashton Kutcher.
He
That's what it looks
does.
like. Sorry,
But he's been canceled.
present cult person.
I felt really bad for that guy in the documentary because it was all he knew was the family, and he was one of the kids. And so he
Oh
stood
yeah.
behind her because he's like, you're supposed to stand behind family no matter what. And then like later on realized what actually happened to him.
That's
Really sad.
that's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they first sought out middle class professionals, a large portion being from the medical field. Raynor Johnson was the name of the psychiatrist that allowed her to come onto his property and really endorsed her. I don't know why.
Rainer?
So Raynor,
Rainer.
Raynor, if that's a name. So
That is a name.
how she got in with Raynor, I didn't write that in here either, but it's fascinating. So Raynor is married, and he was started going to her, or his wife and him started going to the yoga classes. She started, I believe, sleeping with one of his friends to get information about him. And then
And
and then she befriended his wife too. And then him and his wife were going to go to India. And she said, just like at one of their classes, came up to him and was like, when you go to India, your wife is going to get violently ill. She's going to be okay, but she's going to get sick. And when they went to India, she got sick.
and what did you do?
She didn't do anything. She just knew everyone gets sick when they go to
She
India.
well, I was gonna say you gotta watch what water you drink, yeah, for sure. But
Oh,
okay, so she
especially
just
if the wife already believed her too, like the power of suggestion on top of that. But
yeah, absolutely.
she got like a stomach bug and was sick for a couple days on their trip. So
I
then he's
can
like, I'm
yeah.
all in. She is Jesus. So that's how she got him in. And then he started getting all of his friends, and one of his friends was the owner of the psychiatric stop it facility.
What do you mean? What did I do? I'm just here listening. I'm a passionate listener.
So yeah, they were bringing their patients, and then they were having her come into the psychiatric hospital and teach yoga as well. They started being really excited about certain studies during the 60s with LSD, and
Ah,
other
yes.
hallucinogens. So she started giving LSD to people while taking her class to get them able to open up spiritually through meditation and become more enlightened.
I mean, I would do that yoga probably.
It sounds kind of fascinating. The way
Give
that
me an
she first
LSD,
did
I'll
it.
do all kinds.
Yeah, the way that they first did it, it sounds like something I would do. And they would also do
Yeah.
shrooms too.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay.
So she would do, that was one of the things that would help with PTSD in the psychiatric facility as well, if done correctly.
I've heard that another one is ecstasy.
Hmm.
More modern, obviously now, but yeah, I've heard that ecstasy also can help with PTSD. And I'm over here like, hello, how can we get that regulated and to me, please?
I know I'm so scared to take anything like that nowadays without it being like pharmaceutical just because of the stuff they're lacing and things and people.
Right. Yeah. No,
It's not,
I'm 100% with
yeah,
you on that.
it's not the drug, it's the stuff they're lacing. And like, if you're
Right. Well,
going
at
to
least the
try
shrooms,
things, yeah,
shrooms are shrooms. So,
shrooms are shrooms. But folks, if you're going to try stuff, do it safely, know where you're getting it from, and know that those people know where they're getting it from.
and have a person,
Have a person, because
have a person you trust.
a lot of times these people selling it, they're not the ones making it, and they don't even know where they're getting it from.
Exactly. Yeah.
So have a real person. So historically, LSD and other hallucinogens have been given to members of cults as a tool to lower their inhibitions and have them be more subjective to manipulation of the leader. This is no exception. So later on, she started doing these sessions with people, like individual yoga sessions, where they would take they would take the LSD and she would lock them in a dark room until it like took effect.
With
And then
her?
no, by themselves.
Oh,
And
okay.
then she would walk into the room and they would have like a spotlight on her and she'd be wearing all white and like come in and talk to them about how she was Jesus.
This sounds like something very Stanley Kubrick. I could see a
Um,
scene like that being in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
oh my gosh, right? But it worked. I mean, people thought, oh, I did have this vision. You are Jesus. And they thought that they were alone in this dark room the whole time. And that was the vision that they had.
So they're in solitary confinement and it's dark, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
and
pitch black.
they're tripping on whatever hallucinogen she's given them.
Hmm.
Like, no wonder she comes in as Jesus. They're going to be all over that. That's wow. Okay.
So during the late 1960s and 1970s, New Haven Hospital, which, yes, that sounds like a very creepy psychiatric hospital name, that's up to no good, was a private psychiatric hospital owned and managed by Marion Villemek, and she became a member of the cult. Many of its staff and attending psychiatrists were also members, and it was said that they were almost forced to be members if they wanted to work there.
I was gonna say I was kind of curious how a gaggle of intellectuals such as therapists,
Well,
or did you say
most
psychiatrists?
psychiatrists, well, and therapists,
Yeah.
so the staff in
No.
general. So, and I believe she found most of her staff, new staff, through the cult, and then the ones that wanted to stay had to kind of join.
Wow.
Yeah. um, so where was I at here? So the LSD was prescribed under the direction of the family um, psychiatrists, John McKay and Howard Whitaker, and befriended the owner who was elderly and sickly, and she was able to convince her to leave the facility to Anne when she passes, which
I knew it.
didn't
I knew that
happen that
place was
long
getting
after.
bequeathed. Yeah.
It was bequeathed.
It was bequeathed.
The therapies led to several deaths at the hospital, and finally, in 1975, one of them was looked into, and the hospital was under scrutiny after that. Eventually, the hospital changed hands, became a nursing home, um,
Oh.
completely separate from the family. But it was a while
Oh.
after 1975. Like she had it for a
Okay.
while,
Yikes.
from the 60s to like the 80s. And then it finally closed down in 1994, I want to say.
Oh, even as a nursing home?
Yeah, the
Okay.
facility closed down.
The whole facility. Okay.
The cult grew, and her drug-induced yoga followers were paying Anne a lot of money to be in her presence. Her fortune grew and grew, and she began getting a ton of plastic surgery to appear to not age, because she told them that she was not going to age, that she's going to be timeless and live forever.
They didn't catch on to that?
No.
Like, why would you make statements like that you know you can't? I mean, obviously she knows that she can't back it up because she's getting plastic surgery. Why not just let me like skip that one?
I know, right? She was
Just let
very
let's maybe.
she was very obsessed with staying young and feeling
Yeah.
young. So when she started the cult, like I said, she was in her 50s, and
Right. Yeah.
she didn't tell them she was in her 50s. And I don't think they knew that she had an adult daughter either, because the daughter was never part of this.
I was just about to ask, was the daughter apart? But no, apparently not.
Mm-mm.
Is the
No.
daughter still alive?
I'd have to look into that. I don't think she wanted very much to do with it, but especially since later on, um, I'll talk about it at the end,
Okay.
like all the children, but her mother stole her child, like her granddaughter,
Oh no.
and no one really knows how she did it
Like she
exactly.
actually absconded with a baby,
Hmm.
not like just theoretical
Oh,
brainwashing. No, she
oh,
absconded with the baby. Wow. Okay.
she stole 28 children.
Wow. I
Hmm.
think that was my email. I'm gonna close my email. Whoops.
um, so she wanted to show her followers she was really Jesus by not aging, and she was more than human. She wore gaudy jewelry, designer clothes, and always had her hair done. She did not try to hide her wealth at all. This is quite different from other cult leaders, because some will try to like squirrel it away, have like
Oh yeah.
properties, but they don't show it on the outside, like that they're
It's almost like she was in Amway.
be like me, the 1%.
Be like me. You can be like me. Oh well, I guess that's for next time.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's a hint at next week's episode.
I'm doing a great job tonight. Hello, everyone, and goodbye because I'm getting fired.
Beep way. Okay. Um, so that's the part I already read. Okay. In the 1960s, mysticism became a very popular interest among people of all ages. When she started her own studio to help, with the help of that psychiatrist friend, she really built up the studio around herself in the mystic arts. So she said that she was a medium, and that like she was enlightened and through Buddha as well as everything else under the sun. Um, but yeah, Raynor Johnson, he was a physicist and psychiatrist. He was immediately enamored with Anne's charisma and youthful appearance for her age. He even wrote in his journals, unquestionably the wisest, the serenest, the most gracious and generous soul I have ever met.
Same person?
He began taking her yoga classes and soon began trying the LSD with her, and they came up with a plan to combine the two and heighten the spiritual experience. It seemed to work, and that was when he invited his colleagues and friends to join her classes. Soon after the trippy yoga classes began, they opened another studio on Raynor's property so she could speak to the classes and hold meetings to talk about her beliefs and her second coming.
Oh,
It,
oh, like a Jesus second coming.
oh my God, it was so creepy. So there's some of her home videos that she made that you can see. And she's like talking in the background, and it totally is like a video you would watch like on something in a chair, like strapped down, being forced.
Oh yeah. Like in Clockwork Orange,
Yes,
where Alex has his eyes.
exactly.
You're welcome for that visual.
Oh, when that movie came out, it was pretty trippy.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Today's kids are like, what is this? This isn't anything. We have
Okay.
Saw 10.
Yeah. We have Saw 10. I mean, it's interesting you say that though, because I think Clockwork Orange was 70, 69, 71, somewhere around there when it was released. Same with 2001: A Space Odyssey. So I mean, here's the thing about baby boomers. They had LSD and they had these movies,
And cocaine in their Coca-Cola.
and they're sassing us. You guys had LSD.
Exactly.
Get off our backs. We don't have free or
And don't
or
lie to
legal
us.
LSD.
You did it. And you smoked pot. Like, don't
Yeah,
even.
we remember this. We know what the 60s were about. Y'all had this phase.
We could still smell it when we were born.
We we could.
It reminds me, okay, that reminds me of the Seventh Heaven. Did you watch Seventh Heaven?
Okay. I had a crush on the second oldest daughter.
Uh, Lucy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
I did
did watch
too.
it.
I did too. But when the mom admits to smoking pot and it becomes like this huge thing, like,
Oh yeah.
how, like the husband's like, how could you not tell me that you smoked pot before?
I mean, he has no room to talk. Let's
Oh
not
my
even bring
God.
him up.
Oh my
The
God.
actor.
We should talk about
Ugh.
the cult of Hollywood.
Cult of Hollywood. Honest to goodness.
That would be like a whole year series. And there's one cult of Hollywood that tries to shut you down anytime you try to talk about them. One of my favorite podcasters, Stephanie Harlow. Shout out, Steph. You probably will never see this.
Maybe not.
She she talked about them, the science one,
I was gonna say
and
it's got to be the science one.
she got 2 episodes in, and their legal team started contacting all of her sponsors.
They're litigious
Yeah.
as F, as the kids would say.
I want to find out if she put those episodes on her Patreon because
Mm.
I want to see the rest of
I
them.
wouldn't even be surprised if they started like following, like legitimately following her.
They're so
I don't know.
wealthy.
I don't know what part of the country she's located in, but I they would still do it.
Someday we'll get brave enough and we'll talk about them. We're not
Okay,
sponsored, so they can't really go after
that's
anything.
true. Who are they gonna? Well, they'll just go after us.
Sponsored by Bubba Gump Shrimp. They get a random email. That Tyler
Stop
Holmes, he
it.
doesn't stop talking about us.
Sponsored by pickles.
That's who should sponsor. Like the
Mm-hmm.
I follow that guy that is obsessed with mustard, and he has like I'll have to send you his videos, but he has
I
everything
need to see this.
mustard, and he tries like he get like the mustard. What was it? Candy. Oh, Skittles, mustard Skittles.
I need those. I love mustard.
Skittles sent him like special mustard Skittles.
Were they? I wonder if they were sweet.
I don't know.
I want them.
I'll have to find the videos for you.
Yeah,
It's
please do.
it's a really cute husband and wife. His name's Dylan.
Dylan.
Adorable. And he always looks shocked. His eyes are like this. Oh, you can't see me.
I can see your eyeball. Oh,
All the time. It's
that's
hilarious.
amazing.
He's
I mean,
so
I guess my eyes would
excited.
be too if I ate a lot of mustard.
A lot of mustard. Oh gosh. Okay, where was I at here?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, so it's very likely she even began believing her own words. It really seemed like she was delusional and
Oh,
believed what
sure.
she was saying. This was when the manager of the New Haven Hospital started bringing the staff to the meetings and bringing in the teachings and treatments to the patients in the hospital. Well, at least they were already used to Anne when she inherited it.
Right.
Oh, she did horrible things at that hospital.
She
So
did. She
not
definitely did.
not like it could have been worse, but it was bad. Um, the stat oh sorry, I already read that part. Twisting the Christian and Eastern teachings to Anne's benefit, she began pushing on the members to give up all of their earthly possessions to her. They gave her their homes, money, jewelry, and many of them their children.
What? I mean,
Um,
obviously, you can't legally bequeath kids to people. So what? How they're just giving them?
most
Like,
so most of the children from the members aren't counted as her children. They would come like on the weekends sometimes, or they would stay for a couple months.
okay.
They weren't counted as her actual children, except for a couple of them that were fully given to her. But they would like allow her to teach them, especially after they turned 14. So 14 was her magic number of how old the kids could be to take LSD.
How is she getting LSD like so far? Like, I mean, once the '60s, the late '60s are over, like, how are you getting all this LSD,
I
Anne?
don't know. Were they making it? I have no
They must have
idea.
been making their own LSD, or
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said, they're a little behind there. So maybe the LSD thing went a little further.
maybe, but like you would think, like, how is this under the radar of law enforcement? Like, what's happening here?
Some of them were members. I mean, you have to think about it. Like, it was a lot of the
Oh,
lawyers and doctors,
yeah.
psychiatrists. Like, there weren't a lot of members who weren't at least middle class or a
Well, this was
prominent
really
position.
widespread. Like at their peak, how many like members did they have at their
Over
peak?
500.
Are they still active today?
I hope not.
Like
No,
after
they
she
were,
died, like did someone take over or
no, no.
okay.
Her husband, though, new husband was like behind her 100% until she died.
And
Like,
now it's probably like, oh, wait a minute.
and she had followers up until she died. Like that,
And
some of
she
them,
never came back.
no, it's third
So
coming. Guacamole. He's like, I'm the third coming.
he's like, no, I meant cumin. Second
Cumin.
cumin for the curry.
Third cumin.
The third cumin, not coming. I'm not coming back to life. I'm sorry. Okay, keep going.
so at so it was thought it was not 100% sure, but this was what could prove when all was said and done and everything was found out. She was worth at least $8 million.
Oh. mean, that's a decent chunk of change.
Yeah,
Most of which she got from members. I mean, let's be honest, that
all
was
of it.
not. Yeah,
Hmm.
because what else is her income going to be?
I mean, it's yoga.
Yeah, that's not an $8 million affair.
So Anne fell in love, or maybe just knew she could control one of her followers, Bill, and he was happily married. Slowly, she forced him away from his wife. So this was a huge thing. So her members, she told them that for them to receive good karma and be able to go to heaven, they would have to do everything that she said and follow all of her rules. And if they didn't, they had to come and tell her. Or if they knew someone
Oh,
else wasn't, they had to tell her, or else that was on them as well. And then they would be punished. And one of the punishments often was being forced into her psychiatric facility. You only needed two doctors to sign off on a person to be in a psychiatric facility,
and
and she
she
had a
definitely had the two
bunch.
doctors. Oh my goodness.
So
It's
sometimes
like
they had to stay there for short periods of time as a punishment and things like that. Like,
she
yeah.
created Catholicism. Like 14th century Catholicism is
Right,
what
right.
she did.
Oh my gosh. Um, so so part of it was that they both had, so both of them were in the cult, the husband and wife, and they had a really happy marriage and were loved each other. And a big thing she liked to do was control relationships. So there would be people, she'd be like, okay, you two are no longer married. You're going to be with him and he's going to be with her. And just make the relationship, or just be like, no, you guys aren't going to see each other anymore.
What do you think though? Like, do you think Bill could honestly have consented? Like,
I don't know.
given the
Like,
the legal definition of consent?
it's
Like,
hard because all the way up till her death, he was like gung ho. She did nothing wrong. She's
yeah,
amazing.
like that feels like that's non-consensual.
And he was
Does
so
like
mean to the kids in court. Like the kids later on come forward and they take her to
mm-mm,
court, take both of them to court, and he was so mean, saying they made everything up, that they're just getting paid to like say this stuff.
that's terrible.
Because most of what we know is from the kids and what they
Yeah.
witnessed. Because some of them were older when,
Do we know what the delta is between her age when she marries Bill and his age, or
I'd
when
have
they
to
get
look.
together?
It was earlier on, like
Okay,
1960. She was still in her 50s.
so this was a long marriage.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I say
Um,
marriage, but quotation
they were
marriage.
never like legally married because he was still
Right.
married.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
really
I
like
mean,
a
you figure.
bigamist. He was a bigamist technically. Slowly she forced him away from his wife and convinced him that he was in love with her, because they were in a loving marriage. Like it wasn't, it was just bizarre. And that it was his duty to be with the new Christ and help her on her journey. She convinced two doctors, that was all it needed for the psychiatric facility, to put his wife and commit her into the facility.
Oh no, for how long?
I think the rest of her
Her
life.
life? Oh my gosh.
There she sat in the psych facility to be out of her way, to have Bill all to herself. With this, Bill ended up abandoning his four children to devote his whole life to Anne. They had four sons.
Were they in the cult too,
No,
or in the family?
no, that's why he had to abandon them. They wouldn't
Okay.
join.
Okay.
They didn't like
That
that their
makes
mom
sense.
was forced into a psychiatric facility. Now you're with this
Yeah.
new
So who's
woman.
right? Like, I don't know how old these kids are, but then who's?
It didn't say how old they were, but I'm assuming they were like teenagers from the sound of it. Um,
Wow.
so Anne wanted as many children as she could get, and in the 70s, her followers began taking children from outside the group, as well as giving her their own. Teenage mothers were sent away at this time, and the children were often taken, and the girls returned to their lives and to pretend like nothing happened. If they did want the child, often they were sent to a psych facility, like Anne's, where the babies were stolen away, and the girls were basically tortured into submission to not want the child and be able to go home or stay in the psychiatric facility.
Wow.
So you'd have to be crazy to want a kid. Kind of agree with that.
After the weekend you had.
Oh my gosh. I had four pre 12-year-old girls in my house up until after 4 o'clock in the morning on hopped up on energy drinks.
Hmm. I remember
Woo-hoo.
teaching kids like that. No, thank you.
Well, the funny thing is, my kid has ADHD, so the energy drinks didn't affect
I was gonna say
Becca.
it probably makes her tired.
So Becca was laying there just working on Legos, and the other girls were the ones running around acting a
Uh-huh.
fool.
I was gonna, yeah, because that's what happens to me when you give me anything sugary. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember Surge from back in the, no, you don't, because you're not old enough.
They have Surge again. It's back.
Oh, do they? But yeah, like when Surge came out, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it makes you crazy, like with energy," and I have it. And I'm like, it just made me tired.
I think it's basically Mountain Dew.
Yeah, but like Mountain Dew with like double or triple the caffeine, something like that. It was. I can't
Oh gosh. So with the group being made up of mainly doctors, lawyers, judges, nurses, etc., it was easy to get around laws and for them to be able to falsely adopt children. In the in the end, 28 children were taken or adopted by Burns, and they were told they were her biological children. Even though doing the math, she was in her 50s when the children started being taken, and she had had a hysterectomy.
yeah, there's no immaculate conception going on here, Anne.
She went to great lengths for this to be believed and was able to acquire false birth certificates showing that she birthed the children. She changed all their last names to Hamilton Burns, and she wanted them to look as much like her as she made. So she made sure to keep their hair bleach blonde to keep up the shenanigans. The boys had these horrible bowl cuts.
I was gonna say like the Amish bowl cut,
It was so bad, but like bleach blonde. Like it's like oh, what's her name? Aurora's hair cut, but
Aurora
on the boys, the singer.
on the boys.
All the boys
The
had her haircut.
on what show?
Aurora, she's a singer.
Oh, I have no idea who that is. Who's
Uh,
Aurora?
she's a singer. She sang the voice of the wind in Frozen 2.
Oh, so I never watched Frozen 2. Beautiful.
Thank you. No, you know the song, and I was running far away, and I something about the world someday. Nobody knows. Okay, well, I'm gonna send you videos after we're done here.
Great. Can't wait. So now it's starting to sound like Aryan race adjacent. We got the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of gross. She also
Mm-hmm.
constantly wore a pregnancy belly so that at any time she could give birth when a child was found.
Wouldn't someone go up to Bill and be like, my guy, maybe calm it down now?
She's just this constant birth machine. There was a funny story though. So
How do you know?
she was gonna go pick up two babies at the same time from a psychiatric facility, but another person came in giving birth. So she took three babies, and then she's like, "Oh, just kidding, it wasn't twins, it's triplets," and brought them home. And they
The
grew up
suspension
thinking they
of
were triplets.
disbelief, or the suspension of belief, I should say, like going on here amongst the other members is just outrageous.
Mhm.
Like you have doctors who know she can't be pregnant
Who
like
could
that.
diagnose her with what is going on here?
Doctors who know this lady is in her 60s and cannot, there's no possible way for her to have babies post menopause. And yet, oh my gosh,
Ugh.
the lengths you must have to go to believe that this stuff is real.
Some of them were allowed to keep their natural hair color.
Oh,
If they had red hair, because her hair color when she was little was red, so she'd be like, "Oh, they're gonna grow into being blonde." Or if it was a light enough brown or blonde that it could pass as a sibling to someone with bleach blonde hair.
okay. Yeah.
These poor children.
These
I
poor
wonder
children.
I wonder if they were put on like LSD when they got their hair done so that they didn't know it was being done.
I mean, but I guess if they're kids, they don't know anything else.
Like, oh, maybe they're just like, oh, we're just washing your hair.
Right. I'm sure. I'm sure it was
Yeah.
like I'm sure it was put in a way that made it seem completely normal for them. Like I'm sure they didn't go outside to normal school.
No, that's part of this. You would think after going through all these lengths to have children and tell everyone how much you wanted and loved to have them, she would treat them well, right?
Of course not.
Ah, she had the means to do so. She had so much money. She was constantly traveling to England. She loved being in England, but she traveled all over the world. She would travel first class, stay in like five-star hotels, and like she had anything she wanted. Yeah, not her children though.
Well, of course not. They're living in squalor, I'm sure.
Oh gosh. But life for the children was anything but loving. She had put women in the cult in a position she called aunties over the children. Some of the men were also called uncles, and there's a horrible story about the uncles. But the aunties had the main duties with the children. These women would make them look as similar as possible. So it was their job to be bleaching their hair, cutting their hair, dressing them all the same. Because you should look up the pictures of the children right now.
I'm all right.
They're so creepy. It's like a horror movie.
Oh, oh,
Oh gosh. Uh,
children. Ah,
right?
ah,
Oh,
excuse me.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. And the family videos are like always dressed like that.
Why is there one dude that looks like Roy Orbison?
Why
You
is he
see
allowed
him
to have
there?
why is he allowed to have dark hair?
I don't know. It's like he has got
That's the one
sunglasses on his
that's the
face.
one in the video, or the other picture. That's that
Oh,
kid.
I you got fucking Roy Orbison in the
I think
family there.
so. I think he is the grandchild of Bill.
Okay.
They stole one of Bill's children, grandchildren too, and had the mother committed to the psych facility so they could steal the child. And I think that's him.
Hmm. That's so sad.
Yeah. Um, oh gosh. So she wanted the children to look and appear perfect at all times because they were her children and supposed to be the new race of humans. So they were like otherworldly and a like new breed of people that are supposed to be have pure karma so that they only have positive karma and are like at the top of the food chain and gonna
Poor
create a
kids.
new life. I'm like, are the children gonna create it? They're not actually related to each other, but if they think that they are they supposed to be like procreating with each
I mean, eventually they are going to be related.
other? The children were to remain perfect at all times. How they ate, spoke, dressed, walked. They were not allowed to step out of line for even a moment. The aunties were under strict orders by Anne to punish the children severely if they did anything remotely bad or if they felt the children needed to witness someone getting punished to keep them in line. Every morning, the aunties would do bed checks, and if any of the children wet the bed, they would be beaten with a belt, starting at a very young age, like younger than potty training age.
That's
Uh,
natural. Like every kid does that at some point.
and the more you're fucking abused, like, the more
It's
likely it's
gonna,
gonna happen.
yeah. Oh my God.
A very common punishment was withholding food as well. The children who have been interviewed recall her take Anne coming in when they needed a punishment, taking off her stiletto heel and beating the children with it,
Oh,
hitting them with her handbags, beating them with objects. If the children still seemed out of line, stubborn, or argumentative, they would be dosed with Valium to keep them agreeable. Once they turned 14, Anne saw it suitable to start giving them LSD treatments, which included putting them in isolation and only being visited by Anne or a psychiatrist, assuming to guide them through the trips in the way that they wanted them to be, almost as if they were hypnotizing them into behaving how she wanted them to.
Wow.
Yeah. Can't say my childhood was that bad.
Right. Right.
Maybe it was worse because they didn't give me LSD.
Or me, yeah.
That may have made it better. Not if you're
LSD would
being
have,
not if you're being guided through a terrible trip on it though.
yeah.
I had peyote once.
Ooh, how was that?
It was trippy. It was really cool because I was guided like by the elders through it,
Okay.
and then they write down. So in my tribe, when we're about 16, is the
Mm-hmm.
first time, and then they'll guide you through it, and they'll have you talk through it as well of what you're seeing and experiencing. And then there's a scribe that writes down everything that you say, and then at the end you find objects that relate to the things that you saw and put it in a bundle and call it a medicine bundle. And then you give it to somebody who you feel needs the item. So it's not really, the vision's not really for you, it's for someone that you're going to meet,
Okay.
which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
uh but
That is
yeah,
pretty cool.
never did LSD though.
Nope. Same here.
So trigger warning for the next like 2 minutes, people, because there's the only talk of essay in this whole thing is this next little blurb. So fast forward like a minute. Oh no, I need to plug my laptop in though. This
Yep.
gives you
That's,
this gives you time to fast forward.
yeah. It's okay to have to fast forward. We love you and do what you got to do, you know?
Exactly. Okay, here's the warning. One of the boys recalled in a documentary that during one of these LSD trips, he was being babysat, guided by one of the uncles.
Mm,
The following several days, he was bleeding from his rectum and cannot recall what exactly happened to him, but is completely certain he was assaulted by the uncle. Okay, we're
yeah.
good now. We're good now, guys. But yeah, like,
Oh, that's terrible.
so this treatment would be enough to send a grown adult into depression, anxiety, or even psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh yeah. So having to be put in isolation. So a lot of the kids were very isolated. So they couldn't even be friends with each other. So if they got too close with each other, they would separate them and make sure that they would pin them against each other. So like I said, if it was believed and it was pushed on them that if you witnessed someone else doing something bad, you needed to tell Anne or an auntie, or else you are not going to get into heaven.
Okay. And when
So,
that's your whole world, you believe that.
and so they were forced to snitch on each other because you need to get your punishment if you want to still go to heaven.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, so they didn't get away with anything and they were basically, yeah, had to watch each other constantly.
She was a terrible, terrible person. Anne.
Mhm. Um, so yeah, it'd be enough to send a grown person into psychosis. I mean, look at what isolation in prisons does to inmates, or even a step down, what isolation because of COVID did to us for our anxiety. And these
Right.
kids like were only around each other. They weren't even around the other cult members much. So they were only around the aunties and the uncles and Anne sometimes.
I mean, and studies have shown time and time again that solitary confinement like that
Mhm.
is not good for anybody. And it's actually considered cruel and unusual punishment. I mean,
Mhm.
it should be. It's not because prisons can get away with it, but like imagine doing that to kids,
There's even laws now in prison that they still have to leave their cell at X amount of time a week.
which
And
still isn't, it's not enough. But yeah, like
no,
I
no.
mean, solitude like that, no. That's so so terrible for any person,
Yeah. Uh,
let alone a kid.
So the children rarely left the compound, and if they did, it was with the supervision of Anne or an auntie, and they would be severely punished when they returned if they even hinted at going against their wishes. The motto for the kids was unseen, unknown, unheard, and they would repeat that all the time. Some of the children recall being able to travel with Anne on occasion, and when they did, Anne would flaunt her first class status in front of them, but they were to remain in the same on the same diet, same schedule as when they were home. They did not get to leave the hotel much, and they were not to speak to anyone but Anne or the aunties when and only when spoken to. So yeah, they would get to see what Anne was doing and like stuff,
Mhm.
but mm-mm. um, so everything came crashing down in 1987. So she got away with this for quite a while.
Good. Well, I mean, not that she got away with it, but I'm glad it finally came crashing down.
So Sarah Moore was one of the children,
How old
and
were you in 1987?
I was an egg in an ovary.
I was five.
The egg left the ovary in like January of 89.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great.
Hmm.
Cool.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. Great time.
Did you like Landon's age
I
thing?
did. I made my own too.
Oh, you did too. I didn't watch yours
And
yet.
spoiler alert, I'm younger than you. So
Ah, I liked my age though. My age is fine.
yeah, yours is good. Yours is good.
Landon,
Genuinely.
Landon, 5.
Before that, it was like what, 57 or something. His was all over the place.
69.
69. Nice. Yeah.
Hilarious. Okay.
Okay.
So in
87.
1987,
Yeah.
Sarah was expelled from the group and exiled. So she wasn't allowed to like leave, but she left. So she got out of there.
Good for her.
She knew she was going to get sent to a psychiatric facility if she didn't get out of there. So she left.
How old was
Um,
she? Do we know?
I don't think it said her age, but I think she
Okay.
was like a late teen.
Okay.
Anne told her it was because of the rebellious behavior. Sarah was rebellious. We'll put that in quotes. She hated it there. She
Good.
could see through what Anne was doing. She was protective of the other children, hated seeing them punished, and hated how silenced and zombie like they were. She did not want this to be her life. She saw the lavish life of Anne, her travels, her holier than thou persona, and could not just stand by and let it happen. Honestly, I'm shocked they let her go, but later on I found out they did not actually let her go.
I was gonna say they probably didn't.
um,
But I just love that there was someone that even in all of this tomfoolery that she has going on, that there's still someone who's like, you know what? I don't have any point of reference, but this doesn't seem right.
she also was scared because Anne
Enacted
told
on it.
her that she had eyes everywhere, and so she was worried, but she was like, "No, this is my only chance." So
Right.
she made her way to the police station and let them know everything.
Good.
Um, but to back up a little bit, this wasn't the first time the police had been involved. So
Right. You
people,
said there were some members.
yeah, so people were had heard the children before crying and wailing, and neighbors had called CPS and the police on them. They came and checked on the children, and Anne had to start a school because their one thing was, well, they're not in, because all the children were like, no, nothing's going on, nothing's wrong. Because if I say anything,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to heaven. So Anne had to start a school. They didn't actually ever do school, but she had to start one so that it looked like they were
Right.
going to
Ostensibly in
school.
school. Yeah.
Mhm. But the kids were not taken, nothing happened, and that was the only thing that had to happen. Yep. And then she isolated them more because she wanted to make sure neighbors couldn't hear them being punished. So
Oh, of course.
they
Yeah.
got put further in the middle of nowhere.
What's the
Uh,
point of having these kids if you're just going to do this with them? Like, what is the
exactly.
point? It's like people who
Exactly.
get dogs and they just leave them outside.
And it's
Like,
horrible because most of these children came from the psychiatric facility, women that were sent there because they wanted to keep their babies.
Jesus, what a shitty person you are, Anne. God.
So Sarah made her way to the police station and let them know everything. On August 14th, 1987, law enforcement planned a raid. So it took a month, but they think they called it like the forest raid or something because
Good.
they had to like sneak onto the facility and like get in there. Um, so they planned this raid to be able to safely get the children out and avoid any casualties, since Anne would have her world crash down once this began, and desperate people do desperate things. So they really wanted to
Mm-hmm.
plan everything really well to make sure they could get these kids out because there was 27 kids still there,
Yeah. Wow.
not including any of the members' kids. Um, Anne was able to get word of what was going on, and she fled to another country.
Of course.
Anne was able to live off her wealth until she was found in New York in 1993. She lived years.
In New York City
Yeah. They don't think she was only in New York City, but that was where she was like
at the time she
based.
was
Yeah.
found.
She loved England, so they were looking for her there. That's where they thought she was, but she was
Right.
in New York.
Was she
She,
like while she was gone? Sorry, but like while
yeah,
she
yeah.
was gone, was she still like the head of the cult or like what was
Yeah, so her members were still somehow corresponding with her.
good grief? Okay, so they still believed her to be Jesus.
Yeah, and there was nothing that
Jesus.
the members did that they could really like prosecute for, so they were free, but they didn't have anything. I mean, they had
Yes.
careers and their
Yeah.
businesses and stuff, but they were still sending her money, even though she had plenty of money. But yeah, they were still corresponding with
Yeah. Of
her. Um, Here's the kicker, though. She spent almost no time in jail after they found her.
course not. Because she knew people, I'm assuming.
And partially because the laws were so loose on adoption in Australia that they couldn't really, the only thing that she did illegal was falsify the documents. It wasn't actually taking the children that was illegal.
Wow.
Yeah. She barely spent any time in jail. Instead, she was ordered to pay damages to the children who wanted in on the lawsuit. Some children didn't want anything from her. They were like, I don't want her money. Um,
Right.
so together for the abuse they had lived through. Anne was able to live out her days in a nursing home and was later diagnosed with dementia, which I think started a while back. Um,
Yeah.
to this day, many of the children still are haunted by what happened to them in the cold. Their formative years were spent in constant fear of punishment and isolation. They were drugged up a lot of their lives and did not learn how to make relationships. In the end, there were over 500 members, and many were so invested in Anne and the cult that they did not want to believe she was a phony, and that they had been had. They had her back and fought for her and went to the media for her. Slowly, many did come to their senses and have recanted those statements, and no longer feel that way towards her, the ones that are alive still.
Right.
The children we do know about, because some have not come forward and we will not release their information for privacy reasons.
Yeah.
So the first child is the first child that was stolen, was Sarah. That's the one that got away. She was, so her mother, biological mother, was a 15-year-old girl who was admitted to the psychiatric facility. They put a pillow over her mother's face as she gave birth, so that she couldn't see the child when they took her.
Wow. Okay. Jesus.
Which seemed to be the MO of what they did in the psychiatric facility. And her reasoning was that it would make it easier for them to lose the child if they didn't see the
I,
child.
I don't feel like that's accurate. because there's always you always see those stories on the news every now and again about how babies are switched accidentally, and wow.
Yeah. The next one is Leanne, who we do not know much about who she was taken from. Ben was offered up to her willingly by a cult member. Rebecca is Anne's biological grandchild and stolen from her daughter. It's unsure if her daughter was like forced into a psychiatric facility or how that
How
happened.
that happened,
We
yeah.
don't really know, but yeah, she stole her grandchild. Um, Anna Ray, Anna Ree, I think it was Anna Ree,
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
was stolen from Bill, or sorry, from one of Bill's sons. Um, by getting two doctors to sign off on committing his son's wife right before birth so that she could steal the baby.
You would think that these doctors who are complicit in these crimes would have been charged with something.
You would, there wasn't much about what happened to them.
But like you would think like wrongly admitting someone into a psychiatric facility, like knowingly doing that when the person did not need psychiatric help.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there must be a very big gray area where how can you tell whether or not someone does need psychiatric help? But
And they
wow,
may say, okay, well, this person who owns a psychiatric facility is telling us that this person's background and that
right,
and may have been drugged up at the time when they were like coming in to see the patient to say whether or not they should be. So they may have appeared. Like they could probably come up with a story of why they
right.
believed.
It's just it's so there's so many moving parts because you like you were talking about earlier when obviously these doctors are there when these patients give birth.
Hmm.
They know they're not coming from Anne's womb. Like the like I said before, the suspension of belief is
That's
just
true. That's true because those doctors do know.
right. Like there's the wow.
Or do they? Because it was at
I
her facility and then she would facilitate adoptions. So
right.
she didn't take every child from the facility. So it's possible that they're just like, "Oh, she's pregnant. This is
Mm-hmm.
going on. She's constantly facilitating adoptions." So they may not
Right.
know
They may not know. That's wild. Well, I'm
because
glad she's dead because good grief.
oh, yeah. Um, I wonder if Bill's dead.
I was wondering that like passively as you were talking. I'm like, I wonder if Bill's still
Bill
alive.
Bill Burns.
But you would think maybe not, just given how old he may have been when they met.
Everything's about her. It's so hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like she's the spotlight.
Uh, yeah, it doesn't say if he's alive. It only has her dates, not his.
Well, at least we can sleep tonight knowing that the cult is no longer around. you know, in
Oh,
its in
her
any form.
her
I mean, the
face.
damage is irrevocable. Obviously, the damage done to those involved, those kids, that'll never be undone, and that
Yeah.
sucks. But at least we can sleep knowing she's 6 feet under, at least,
Yeah. And she
and
took
not
it
resurrected.
to her death. She said she did nothing wrong.
Imagine going through life doing all of that and then still believing your own lie.
Even when you're faced with it, it's like
Yeah.
in front of you. These are not your biological children.
I mean, obviously, she was unwell. I mean,
Yeah.
she suffered that big trauma early on in life. So there's that going on. But still, like,
One of these psychiatrists should have helped her.
somebody should have been like, you know what? And maybe let's talk. Why don't you sit on the couch over there?
We'll give you
You
a
know?
trip.
Yeah.
You are not Jesus.
Get Maury Povich. do a DNA test with Maury Povich,
Oh.
And Hamilton Burns, you are not the Jesus. And the crowd goes nuts.
Ah. She runs off the stage
She runs off the stage.
crying.
I mean, not like she would have been. I don't think, even faced with facts, she would have believed them. I mean, obviously, she did not. I don't think.
No, no,
I think she was fully committed to whatever.
I think that her dementia started in her 50s,
Yep.
and
She
other
probably had that
people,
trauma and just
yeah,
went
and
right into
probably
it.
had schizophrenia too, and other people playing into her delusions just helped them
Yep.
move along.
Absolutely. Wow, what a crushing story.
I'll
But
try to do a happier one next time.
well, I mean, there's no such thing as a happy cult, as we were saying. Well, I guess maybe, but like, woof,
Like Bubble Boy, bright and
probably. But yeah,
shiny.
like it's just, I guess it's just one of those things where, cults are not fun.
Mm-mm.
And this is
This
a
one didn't,
very good reminder of that.
yeah, this one didn't have a lot of sexual trauma, so that was good. There was the one
Yeah.
incident. Most of the ones that I've been researching are full of it. And it's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
especially the ones run by men, it typically is a driving factor of leadership.
Yeah.
I have 20 wives now. They have no choice.
Not good. Not good stuff.
No, no.
No.
Should we end
Well,
with a
how,
happy story?
I was going to say, how was your drink? Happy
It's good.
stories. Yeah, because you're almost done. I finished my beer because Anne sent me over the edge. And,
You mean
and
Evelyn?
truly, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anne really did me in, though. She really,
She
really
chapped
did
my
me.
chassis.
She chapped my chassis. She ground my gears,
She,
tapped my ass.
there we go.
She, not a pleasant woman.
No,
Not a
no.
and I appreciate that you started off with a woman gang leader because
Mhm.
I mean they're out there, of course, but we all know the men, and we're gonna get. I'm sure we're going to get into the men's stories, and then we'll get into the essay.
Yeah.
Um,
This one was fascinating me for a while. I didn't know that much about it, but it was interesting
yeah,
that,
it was.
that there was a female leader. And there's another cult with the same name in the same area that did some other bad stuff.
Well, yeah, the family's a pretty
I want to look up what that name was. It was like the white, the family
the white
Australia,
crackers.
original name. Come on, Google. Oh yeah, it was worse.
Oh, go on.
The Great White Brotherhood.
The Great White Brotherhood, and it's run by Anne Hamilton Byrne.
Mhm.
Oh, Anne,
I want to DNA
you're
test her.
wouldn't that be get her on 23 and Me?
How black are
Oh
you?
no. Oh,
Oh my
shock.
God.
You're not as white as you thought.
No. I love
You know
that.
what?
There was a show I was watching a while
Yeah.
back that they would DNA
This is us.
test white
Oh.
supremacists.
Oh no. Oh, that's gotta be fun to watch.
Oh
Karma.
yeah. Oh yeah. It was like a show that they had on YouTube, but
Okay, I'm gonna have to
yeah.
look at that up because that's I need some karmic retribution now.
Oh, it's so funny. Most of them
But
were had like a little bit of African countries, and a lot of them had Asian or Native, and they would get so mad.
good. I don't know what they're thinking. Like, how delusional do you have to be to think that you are pure anything? What? That's so silly.
Humans obviously like evolved from somewhere. We
From one main source,
yeah, like
which
we
most, like last I knew, most people believe to have been Africa.
yeah, and then we adapted to different regions we lived in, just like animals do.
Right. Over millennia,
Like us,
not 4,600 years.
we don't need any sun protection. uh,
Tyler, I believe you might need some sun protection.
I wear vampire sunscreen.
Vampire sunscreen. So you want some happy news?
Yes.
This Thursday, which will be the 7th here in Ohio, weed becomes legal.
Woohoo!
So there is your happy news to try to get the taste of Anne out of your mouth, is that I will be able to buy gummies.
Woohoo!
And I've always wanted to try a gummy.
Why is my
So
charger not working?
is it plugged into the outlet at the wall?
It's plugged in here.
Well,
Oh, it is working now. Okay.
oh, there you go.
I think something was loose in there. Loosey
Little
goosey.
loosey goosey.
So then we can do cocktails and cannabis cults.
Cocktails and cannabis cults. Yes. No, I'll just be over here spinning in my chair.
Okay, want to know some funny news?
I do.
Okay. I don't know exactly where this is at, but I just saw the video about it today and it
Can't
gave me
wait.
gave my heart a flutter.
A flutter.
So there was this guy and his wife and they own a cafe and it's a model train cafe. Like they have model trains
I
and
want to
stuff.
go.
Yeah. I
I
think
love
it's
model
in like
trains.
Japan or
I'm that
something.
nerd.
So, and it wasn't doing very well because of COVID and stuff. And so they were going to have to close down. And all of a sudden, this cat comes in and they feed it and stuff. And then all of a sudden, brings its kittens in, like kittens. Like, oh, you fed me. Now I'm
I
staying.
love this. Here's my family, by the way.
And so they fell in love with the kittens, the cats, and the cats would chase around the model trains.
Oh, that's so cute.
So they started taking videos and pictures of the cats and posting it on social media, chasing these trains around, and people fell in love with them. And
Yeah,
so they
as one
started,
would.
yeah, so they started like donating money for the cats. And then people would come, like travel to go to this place to meet the cats and see the trains and eat there.
Oh,
And now they run a full cat adoption upstairs from the cafe. And so people can donate to the cat adoption or they can adopt cats or go and play with them while they're eating.
Tyler, can we go?
I want to go.
I
I'll
want to
find
go
out where
too.
it
It's in Japan. We'll just go to Japan and be like, where's the cats in the model train cafe
is.
at? Like, can we go to there? And they'll love us for that alone. I want to go. I love cats. I love model trains. And food. It's a cafe. You can't get
It's
any. That's the
perfect.
trifecta. That's the
Perfect.
trifecta.
I approve and I think so.
Butterflies.
Butterfly.
Remember that song Butterfly Kisses?
With a
It's like
daddy there, sticking
yes.
little white flowers all up in her hair.
Everyone dances to that at weddings now.
Oh
Like, you
gosh.
know the man who made that song, he's like, I am gonna live for eternity because of this song now.
The song I wrote for my daughter's
Weddings.
wedding.
Butterfly kisses.
With the
Yeah.
mama there. Walk me down the aisle, daddy. It's just about time.
You know, funny story, when one of my cousins got married, this was a long time ago now. But they got married and we were at the reception and it was an open bar. So I was imbibing as one would.
Of course.
And they finally, like, it was like the couples dance song. It was time for the couples to dance, like the newlywed couple to dance. And their first song together was Firehouse's Finally Found the Love of a Lifetime.
Mm.
And as soon as the DJ announced that, me, the music aficionado,
Yes, yes.
busted out laughing. Like, it's a very serious moment, and you hear Firehouses finally found a love of a lifetime, and then you just hear me go.
It's like in the on the video now.
on the video because it's such a cheeseball song.
I love when it's White Wedding because it's like so anti-wedding. Like,
It is so anti-wedding. Or my favorite wedding song is, or and by wedding I mean when people play it at weddings, is Leonard Bernstein's Hallelujah, which is a song about adultery,
yeah,
not about what
Samson.
you, yeah, cutting Samson's hair. It's like, what are you guys dancing to right now? You're dancing to adultery. It's
I
like
think there's a song that is based on Samson as well. It's called Samson
Regina
by
Spektor.
Regina. Yes,
I knew it. I was like, it's got to be Regina Spektor. I love that song.
I do
About the
too.
hero of the story. Don't need to be.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was in 500 Days of Summers when that song was featured.
I love that movie.
So do I. So do I. I thought that was such
Um,
a profound movie when it came out.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's another one with what's her name in it? The same what's her name?
Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah. Is that how you say her last name?
Deschanel, yeah.
Deschanel. I guess it's
Deschanel.
classier than Duchanel.
Yes. You're thinking of Eliza Dushku?
I love Eliza Dushku.
I bet you do.
I love Buffy. Okay, so she played a character in one of my favorite shows, True Calling,
True
which got
Calling.
canceled mid-season, and I was so angry.
Oh, that
Second
sucks.
season, because it
I've
was
never seen True
playing.
Calling.
Oh, you should. Have you seen Pushing Daisies?
No, but I'm familiar with it. I
It
remember that.
it has a sort of similar concept.
Okay.
So she starts working at a morgue,
Mm-hmm.
and if a dead body that needs like closure will talk to her and be like, "Help me," and then the day will rewind 24 hours, and she needs to figure out how to help them
That's okay.
and either
That
save
sounds
their
pretty
life or
interesting.
figure out what's happening. Yeah,
That sounds like do you remember Dead Like Me?
I love that show.
Right? That was
That
such a good
was
show.
so good.
That's like 20 years old at this point,
I want to be
which is
deaf.
terrifying.
Yeah.
I want
Or
to watch that show. I really do.
where did I even watch that on?
I think it was Showtime back then. Who knows what you would DVD maybe?
Yeah, that's why True Calling was canceled because it was on at the same time as CSI and it was back before people had DVR.
Damn it. CSI, come on.
I love CSI.
You're allowed to, that's fine. I can't watch those shows. It's just too much cheese for me.
So good. I watch Criminal Minds to fall
You
asleep
watch This
too.
Is Us. You watch this.
I can't fall asleep to it though. I'm not done with it. I'm not
I
finished with
know. I
This
need to
Is
watch
Us.
it. I need to watch it. I'm warming up to going to watch it
You're gonna
because I
cry.
know I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna curse you when I start
There's
crying.
there's been like 3 episodes in a row I didn't cry. And it's the first 3 episodes. So maybe my heart is just hardened.
Maybe, or the Philly cheese whiz just kind of hardened your arteries.
It's a thing.
It's a thing apparently.
Mm,
But no, I need to watch it.
it's
But like I
good.
said, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to curse you for not being there to hold me when I start crying.
I'm sorry. That's why you need an
Yeah,
emotional support pickle. Ah,
I need an emotional support pickle. You got it.
and dino chicken nuggies.
Oh, the Dino Nuggies and your jar of emotional support pickles.
I have lots of jars of emotional support pickles. And my
Sorry,
emotional support uh pickle pickle things.
pickle things, pickle assortment.
Stay tuned next time to find out what those pickle things are.
To find out why or what on earth happened.
Hallelujah.
Gotta hand it to you, Leonard.
Do you like his hands?
I like his hands. Yes,
I couldn't find his other chips.
Well, oops. Maybe I
Oops.
ate them. I don't know.
Well, if you all have a cult you want us to talk about or research, or if you've been in a cult or know somebody who is in a cult, feel free to contact us to get on the show. I will post the email address in the description.
And we will
Um,
not judge you.
we won't, no, we won't judge you. We'll just ask you questions.
This is a safe space. We're not going to judge you if you were in a cult.
I was in too.
Okay. We, as you will find out next episode, listeners slash viewers,
But I
stay
realized
tuned.
I joined another one when I left the other one.
I'm
So,
also in a cult currently. It's called the Cult of Tyler.
oh yes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that you'll find on Patreon.
Yes. The Cult of Tyler.
Patreon.com/Tyler Holmes.
Mm-hmm. Support the show. Find out
Support the
how.
show. I'm so thankful though. The Patreon does pay for my subscription fees for everything to be able to post the podcast. I don't make much out of it after that, but it
This
does
is a
pay.
passion project,
Yeah,
well and truly.
it's not about me making a ton of money, but I'm very thankful that it's paid for by itself. So because
Hey,
everything costs money now. Zoom costs money to press be able to record like this and be able to do longer videos and to have guests.
yeah,
Dropbox for us to be able to edit and send the content back and forth to be able to post it. My RSS costs money, Spotify, like all the things. So,
everything.
uh,
Nothing is, yeah, all the COVID, the benefits of COVID are long gone.
and I'm probably going to need a new laptop here soon. And this
Oh,
headset sends an interference to my microphone, so I need to figure that
ah,
out.
there is that.
I noticed
But
it when I was recording some of my own because I can see the audio when I'm recording it. And I'm like, there is some interference going on. And I switched headphones to another one that's not as good. And that one didn't have the interference, but then I can't hear you as well. So,
oh, yeah.
but the headset I was wearing last week, which will be next week, is broken. It's ugly. So I can
I
wear that
remember
when
you
I
wore it
guess.
backwards, didn't you?
Yeah, I wore it backwards, so I can't use the microphone because of that. But it didn't cause the interference that this one does. But they're the exact same headset.
That's so strange how that
I
works.
call Razer and tell them.
Reserve.
Razer. Actually, my friend used to work for Razer. I should ask him.
Of course they did. You have friends everywhere, and it's amazing. I love it.
He's one of my high school buds that's been playing D&D with me for
See,
years.
that's awesome.
Uh, but yes, we adore you all. Make us a cult leaders, and we're the cocktail and cult leaders.
Yes, I adore every one of you except for Jeff. You know who you are, Jeff.
Oh yeah, Jeff. Jeff
Jeff.
stole Ralph.
Jeff. He did. I'm very salty about it. I'm not talking about it, but I'm just gonna say, Jeff, you know who you are. Mm-mm.
If I ever come and stay at your house, I'm gonna leave you Ralph's.
You could leave me Ralph. I'll take care of Ralph for you and bring him back.
If you want to know who Ralph is, you have to check out the next episode.
Sure do. Stay tuned. It's
We'll
great.
record backwards like this forever.
Can't wait.
Oh, maybe I'll research again and we can record again on Wednesday and have another episode.
I'm down if you want to do it.
All right. We love you guys.
Love you. Goodbye.
Crows